Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review, and today we'll be talking about a really anticipated movie, Guardians of the Galaxy. The latest movie from Marvel Studios, and their most original movie they've made so far, and the biggest gamble that they took that paid off, because this movie was awesome. I loved this movie. Before we get started on the review, we are going to do what we normally do on the channel. I'm going to do this spoiler-free review, and then after the weekend, hopefully on Monday, don't quote me on that, but sometime around then, me and Sam will do our spoiler discussion on the movie and just talk about everything, details, spoilers, and all. But until then, let's get on with the review. So, let's start with the brief gist of the plot. I'll do the best that I can. The main character of the movie is Peter Quill. He also calls himself Star-Lord. He's a human who was taken from Earth back in the 80s. And the movie opens and he's stealing this orb thing that ends up being sought after by the main villain, Ronan. And then he gets caught up with this group of other characters, and they end up having to stop Ronan from getting this orb. And yeah, it's kind of a gist. That's a terrible gist. But whatever, that's not why you guys are watching this video. Basically, the movie is a bunch of fun. Like, that's the best word to describe this movie, is fun. It's entertaining, it's fast-paced, it's hilarious. Great comedy. I know a lot of people are complaining, even me, about Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 having comedy, like, too much in it. Well, this is the kind of movie that the comedy perfectly serves the film. Like, it perfectly fits in the movie. Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 kind of felt forced because it wasn't completely needed. This, it works perfect. Whenever there's not an awesome action scene, there's a great comedy moment. Everybody in the audience was laughing at like every scene in this movie. So all the acting in the movie is great. Chris Pratt, who plays Star-Lord, is awesome. There's a lot of standout people. I was surprised, I can't think of the actor's name, but the actor playing Drax, because he was a wrestler turned actor. Usually that doesn't go so well, but he was awesome. He was great in the part. His character was funny and awesome. And Groot was good. I'm trying to think of a character who stole the show. And I know a lot of people are saying Rocket stole the show, and he came close, but I can't completely say who stole the show. Everybody had great moments. Every one of the main characters, the main Guardians, all had great moments. And I can't completely say that, like, Rocket stole the show or Groot stole the show. I can't completely say, because they all just did a great job. And even speaking on the cast, what surprised me is the actor Michael Rooker is in the movie. More recently, he's known for being Merle in The Walking Dead. Great actor, I love the guy. But I was expecting this part to be kind of small, not really a main character. But he was one of the main characters. And I was like, oh, I'm all for that. I don't mind watching Michael Rooker, and that was awesome having him in the movie as like a main friggin' character. And that was great. The action scene, the effects in this movie are amazing. They're some of the best effects I've seen in a recent movie. There's a lot of like ships flying around, a lot of great action scenes like that in the film, and those are all done really well. I saw the movie in IMAX 3D, and 3D was there's a couple moments that were cool, but aside from that, the 3D was very forgettable. But it's definitely worth it for the IMAX, because this movie has footage that was shot in IMAX. And whenever there's a movie that actually has stuff shot in IMAX, I recommend seeing it in IMAX. It's so worth it. And I definitely recommend seeing it in IMAX 3D. And that just helped these action scenes just stand out even more on this huge screen, and these effects were just mind-blowingly great. And I know so far I've been just praising the hell out of this movie. I did have some problems. And my main problem is the bad guy, the villain, Ronan. He didn't have much to him, like much motivation. He wasn't that interesting of a villain. Kind of similar to Thor 2, where the villain was like, he could have been a really great villain if written better, but he was just kind of there. I can't completely fault that on this movie, since this is an origin story, so you're going to have more focus on the main characters and introducing them and introducing this whole different world that is totally different from any Marvel movie. But I have to complain about that, because it kind of annoyed me a bit. That, and I found the ending, the climax of the movie, to be the least interesting part of the movie. The action scenes with the ships, all the ships flying around trying to stop Ronan's big ship from attacking the big city, it was alright. It was kind of generic, and I wasn't invested in that ending as much as I was the first half of this movie, which I was completely invested in all the way through. And this ending, I don't know, I just didn't find the ending, the climax interesting. Oh, and how they defeat Ronan was kind of, it really wasn't that interesting of how they defeated him. So that's one of my only real flaws with the movie. And some of the jokes in the movie are hit and miss, but most of the time they hit. They hit awesomely. But that's kind of my major issues with the movie. Just Ronan, not the most interesting villain out there. Some of his motivations weren't completely clear. That and the climax just being the climax looked great. Again, seeing it on IMAX helped, but the climax looked great. The effects were great, but it just wasn't the most invested climax out there. But those are my only real flaws I have with the film. Again, it's such an original movie. It's so out there. It's so funny. The use of 80s music, the 70s and 80s music, the soundtrack in this movie is great. There is a post-credit scene like every Marvel movie, and this one is kind of like the Iron Man 3 post-credit scene where it's not building to anything, it's just kind of a joke. Just a funny little thing at the end of the credits. So if anybody was expecting an Avengers 2 teaser or anything, you don't get any of that. No real build-up to Avengers 2, which kind of sucked, but the scene we got at the end of the credits, let's see, all I can really say about it is it's something that only this movie can get away with. It's something ridiculous. It's a character from the Marvel Universe that's ridiculous that only this movie could get away with showing and doing. If you're a fan of Marvel Comics and know a lot of the characters, you'll laugh your ass off at this ending. It's so ridiculous, but that totally made up for no Avengers teaser. I was like, yeah, that's fine. That post-credit scene was worth it. So definitely stay to the end, which you would anyway. It's a Marvel movie, but still, just don't expect anything tying into Avengers 2. This movie is really standalone. There's a few references thrown in. I noticed a few kind of Easter eggs thrown in, referencing the Avengers movies. But most of all, it's a standalone movie that you can go in not having seen any Marvel movie and just have a great time. Even though they have characters, the character Thanos appears in a couple scenes in the movie, and he's gonna play a big part in future Marvel films. But you don't need to know that going in to enjoy his scenes and enjoy this movie overall. And even speaking about Thanos, that was awesome seeing him in this movie. Thanos is the character who appeared in the mid-credit scene in the first Avengers. That one who turns to the camera and smiles right before it cuts to black. That's the character who, again, will play a much larger role in future Marvel movies. But this one has a small role, and he's also voiced by Josh Brolin. Awesome. You can't go wrong with that. And even Josh Brolin did some motion capture. And you can't go wrong with that. And that scene was awesome. The reveal of Thanos was really cool. And something that was awesome, especially if you're a comic book fan. Just, overall, this movie's just extremely entertaining. I can't say much else about it except go see it for a fun time. Probably the most fun I've had in a movie this summer. And even though it's not the best movie, I still say other movies like Planet of the Apes was better as a solid story with characters and conflict. It was a better movie. This one was so much fun, and I keep saying the word fun, but it really is. And just an entertaining movie with great original characters that you'll remember leaving the movie. The core Guardians are great characters, very memorable. And like I said, you'll be discussing with your friends, who stole the show, who's the best character in the movie. It's hard to tell because they're all great. They all had great moments that just work, and it's just awesome. This is a movie that I feel bad whenever I come up with a negative point or criticize it, because I'm just no, it's such an awesome movie, and I don't want to come up with a flaw. It's a movie that I really want to see again, right after seeing. I saw the movie last night. I want to see it again today because it's so entertaining. This must be how people felt when the original Star Wars came out, when they tell stories of how they went back in line right after walking out of the movie. I'd say it's one of the top Marvel movies. Still not in the top 3, because I still say the top 3 movies, not in this particular order, because I still can't decide, are Avengers, Iron Man 1, and Captain America 2. Those are still the top 3 best movies. I can't say this movie's as good as Captain America, which is kind of hard because you can't really compare them since Guardians is a sci-fi comedy action adventure and Captain America is like a political spy thriller. So you can't completely compare them, but I still say Captain America gets the upper hand, which isn't saying anything bad about Guardians. But I would say it's not in the top Marvel movies, but still up there, high up, as one of the best Marvel movies. So, out of 10, if this makes any sense, as an experience, seeing it for the first time since it's such an original movie, it's like a 9.5. But I feel in the long run, as a movie, it's a solid 9. 9 out of 10. That makes any sense. So that's Guardians of the Galaxy, a movie that a lot of people were worried about. They're like, is this going to be Marvel's first misstep? You know, is this really not going to pan out because it's so weird and so different? And it did. It panned out. It's so worth it. Such a pleasant surprise. I mean, when I first heard about the movie, I wasn't that excited for it. I was kind of like, oh, that's weird. I mean, I'll see it because it's Marvel, but that's weird. But as time went on, I got more and more excited for it, and it was so worth it. So far this summer has been a great summer for movies. Aside from Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's just been awesome. And just definitely check this movie out. I've said this before, a lot of fun, great characters, story, but great characters, great tone, comedy and music, just all combines into one awesome, entertaining movie. And yeah, that's about it. Me and Sam will be back to do our big spoiler discussion on the movie after this weekend. But until then, I will talk to you guys later.